Happy Monday, Mr. McCarthy here with the second piece in our leadership insight on the subject of accountability for our Certified Instructors Group. As you know, I am going to break down this subject into 4 posts, critical for increasing and sustaining high levels of accountability, individual and organizational accountability. And in each of these 4 posts, I'll break those down into 4 key messages. Last week we talked about the first of those 4 elements, and I asked you the question, do you see it? Today we will talk about the second element, and I ask you the question, do you own it? Do you own it? So, firstly, being personally invested. Personal investment is the most fundamental aspect of owning your accountability. If you feel that the success of a goal corresponds with your own esteem or self-regard, then you're going to be far more motivated to hold yourself and others accountable to achieve success. So remind yourself of the common purpose that you share with your team, your family, your life, and inspire similar personal investment from them. Secondly, learn from both success and failures. This is really important. If you're really going to own it, that is, take personal responsibility for your team's success, you need to be able to learn from both success and failure. When your team succeeds, it's important to take note of what factors led to that success, rather than just assume that simply continuing with your current behavior will replicate those results. Not the case. When someone on your team, in your family, in your life fails, in a goal, in an objective, you need to critically examine the cause of that failure. What went wrong? What didn't happen that should have happened? Were people confused about the objective that you were trying to achieve? Trying to engineer a solution without taking responsibility for that problem can create even more problems. And an accountable leader takes ownership of both. The third insight, and probably the most important today, the end goal of accountability is keeping everyone on track to achieve the shared goals of the team, of the family, of the friendship, whatever the unit is. If we think about, our Action Karate schools, then it's really applicable, obviously, to our teams there. Almost everyone leads their life and lives their day feeling accountable for something. The problem is that they usually don't feel accountable for the same things as the rest of the people on their team. Owning it doesn't mean just owning the goal or the problem or the opportunity you're driving towards, or owning the list of items that you're supposed to check off each day. It's about connecting the dots between those daily tasks and the things that matter most to you, your team, your family, your group. So really, really important. Excuse me. So, finally for today, we talked last week about, number 1, obtain the perspectives of others. Number 2, open and candid communication. Number 3, hearing the hard things. And number 4, asking for and offering feedback reflexively. Naturally, if you're taking and asking for feedback, success will necessitate acting on what you've learned from that feedback. Failing to implement the feedback that you've received will create the perception among your team members that your interest in their input is superficial. Don't ask for feedback if all you intend to do is put it in a file, right? A mental file somewhere. Failing to implement the feedback that you've received will create the perception amongst your team members that your interest in their input is superficial. It's really important. By the same token, if you notice a problem with the way someone is behaving or approaching their work, or whatever the relationship is, It's your responsibility to relate your observation to that person. If you withhold helpful feedback from people that could have prevented a problem, you share some accountability for those results. That's where we start talking about individual and organizational accountability. Okay? Super, super important. So, in summary, ask yourself, do you own it? Be personally invested. Learn from both success and failures. Ensure your work as a unit, as a group, as a family, as an Action Karate School. Ensure your work is aligned with the key results, and always act, even if it's only to acknowledge. Maybe you're not going to change, an entire system as a result of some feedback, but at least acknowledge. But always act when you can on the feedback that you receive. And these things may appear simple and obvious, but intentionally I wanted to make this program practical and applicable. The key is you have to practice these behaviors until they become reflexive, until they become a reflex, right? Something you don't even have to think about. And that's the journey. So, as always, let's stay above the line. Next week, solve it. And if you have any feedback, any questions, I'd love to hear from you. Let me know if these things, it's all about feedback. Let me know if these things, are helpful, or if you'd like to discuss them any further. Again, I have, some great references, great reference materials. I'm always happy to share. So, thanks again for listening, and see you soon.